Customer lifetime value. There used to be a line of stores, of department stores in the Northwest called Emporium. They were very similar to Macy's. They had a fairly nice range of higher end products, good quality. You could always count on finding something special while you were there. Unfortunately, they got a new buyer who, instead of looking at wants of customers that were frequent shoppers, she chose to make purchases based on her own interests and picking items that she thought were attractive. Because she didn't take the customer into consideration, sales declined and stores closed. Another story about paying attention to customers' needs and wants is Sears. Sears was the first true department store. You could purchase via catalog anything that could be sold. A wagon would come around to your farm about 4 times a year, and you would place your order, and then 3 months later you would get your items, and it would be on that route month after month, quarter after quarter. Well, this worked great when everyone was rural, but when we became an industrialized nation and then the internet came into play, unfortunately Sears and the top level of management in Sears stayed mired in a printed catalog. And as a result, by ignoring the internet and ignoring what customers wanted, well, we're pretty much at the end of Sears. So when you have a customer, and this is from your textbook, I pulled this from your textbook on page 29, and it's the triad of customer value, total customer value. And this is from the customer's point of view. They need to believe that the value that they're placing and the price that's been placed on the item that they're going to purchase is worthwhile. That means that the product quality meets their expectations and the service they received in relationship to both the price and the quality are also in place. All 3 items balance each other out. If I'm looking to purchase a $500,000 motorhome, to me, that still may seem valuable. That price may be okay because I have the perceived quality in my mind that says that is going to be a worthwhile purchase for me. And the salespeople are able to provide value in what they're offering in support of my purchase to ease my decision-making process. Now, conversely, if I'm shopping at a Walmart or Kmart or value or lower price point store, I'm going to expect lower quality, but then I'm also going to expect a lower level of service. All 3 of these items contribute to the customer value system. Let's take a look at customer lifetime value from another point of view. Not all customers are worth your time. I'd like to think every customer is right, but that's not always the case. So as a manager or perhaps someday owner of a retail location, you need to focus on the customers that will make the biggest impact in a positive way for your store. And one of the things that we do is we look at recency, frequency, and monetary value, which totals an RFM score. So recency is what was the last time someone shopped in your store? And it's one of the advantages of the membership programs that you can join. Fred Meyer is an example of one. In exchange for filling out some brief information for yourself, you get a small discount on your purchases. And you get a discount when purchasing gas. Well, what that allows them to do is it allows them to track how often you shop, what you purchase, and what your total sales are each time you purchase. Lets them see where you live, and it lets them see some demographic information, male, female, your age, etc. Now, I don't say this because it's invading your privacy. I say this because it's a great thing. It really helps. What they can do is they can determine who are their strongest customers. They can also determine who would benefit most from a specific kind of coupon or a specific kind of promotion based on that demographic and shopping history. To determine recency, frequency, and monetary value, what is generally done, and as an FYI, if you're working in a larger store, then these items are part of the reports that are available to you within the customer management system. So you set thresholds, and then it lets you know what your percentage of customers, and it can give you the list of customers that meet that criteria. In our case, what we've done is customers A through Z, if they shopped within the last month, they got a 3. If they shopped more than 1 month, actually I think I did it the last 2 months, they got a 3. If they shopped between 3 months and 8 months, they got a 2. That was the last time they came in was just a little over 2 months ago, so more than 2. Then they got a 2. If it had been over 8 months since they'd visited the store, they would get a 1. So it allows you to easily determine the recency rate. Next is frequency. So, okay, when they were shopping at the store, how often did they shop? So if they came in sometime in the last 2 months, they've come in the higher number range. And you would set this in your software and put those thresholds in place. So you would determine 1 is someone who came in once sometime in a year, maybe 2 is, or maybe 1 is 3 or fewer visits in a year, 2 is 5 to 9 or 5 to 20 or something like that, and 3 is more than 20 visits in a year. These are all made up, obviously, because we're just seeing how this works in general. And then with monetary value, what's the ticket price, their average ticket price? So if they have a higher average ticket price, that would be entered here. You would take all of their sales over the course of a year, divide it by the number of times they visited the store, and that would give you the average monetary value. So when you are determining each one of the thresholds, what I recommend doing is determining the average recency, the average frequency, and the average monetary value from your store overall to start with. And that will let you know right off the bat if the customer is above that threshold, which is good, or is below that threshold. So that's just a quick down and dirty, but let's take it a step beyond. You add all 3 of the rows to get your RFM score. So customer A, for example, has a perfect score. They visit often, they spend a lot, and they come in frequently. The lowest score someone can get is a 3, which would be a 1 on each one of the columns. So their value to the store is much less. If I have an unhappy customer who is a 9, I'm going to pay much more attention to that customer's needs than I am to that customer who's a 3. Doesn't mean that customer that's a 3 is a write-off, but I sure don't want to lose my customer who scored a 9. Then the next step that you take is you sort your RFM score. And in our case, we're going to sort by RFM score, and we're going to go largest to smallest. So we know that our most valuable customers are 8s and 9s. They visit frequently, they spend a fair amount of money, they come in often, so we want to make sure that we keep those people. Beyond that, this segment of customers, the 8s, we would love to push them to a level 9. And we can do that with just a little bit. Either get them to spend a little bit more each time they come in, get them to visit a little bit more often, or get them to come in a little bit more often in general. So we might offer coupons, we might offer some special promotion tied into whichever area, whether it's recency, frequency, and we might say, come in this week and get your free bagel, whatever. That would possibly get them into the store one extra time. And then hopefully they would spend a little bit more money while they're there. So the goal is to build 8s into 9s. The next group, 7, 6, and 5. They're valuable, but our hope is that we can move them up by one level. You can't always get someone to come in very often. There's a lot of variables. I was shocked at how remote my late husband's cattle ranch was. And it was the first time that I had ever been outside of a city. I still remember that you can't just, or that you couldn't just order a pizza to be delivered. That was a shock to me. The other major shock, well, there were a lot of major shocks, but one of the most significant that I remember is that you didn't just go to the grocery store. What's for dinner tonight? I don't know, let's go get something. You planned ahead and would shop for a month at a time. So that frequency, you may not be able to budge that frequency past 1. But what you can do is you can get them to come in a little more often. So instead of shopping once a month, you shop once every 3 weeks. So something to be able to increase the time that people come in. Maybe you have special events going on in the store. And we'll explore those as the term continues. But we want to move 7s to becoming 8s, 6 to becoming 7s, and 5s to becoming 6s. This is the group that will focus on most for improvement because there's leeway for improvement, and the people in this group visit enough that they have some connection with the store. Our bottom segment are basically, pretty much as low as you can score, 4s and 3s, which means they rarely visit, and when they do visit, they don't spend much money. So if you're not getting a whole lot of money from them, you don't want to invest a whole lot of money trying to build their business. You're better off spending that money here or here to increase that customer value. Let's take a look at determining a specific customer's value. Okay, customer A, let me make this bigger. Customer A visits your store 52 times a year. They come once a week. They spend on average $122 per visit. They've been your customer for 10 years. Oh, as an FYI, the average customer time a customer stays with a company is 5 years. That's pretty much maximum. So grocery stores, it depends on how far you live from the grocery store. We'll be looking at that later in the term. But it also depends on the square footage of the grocery store, etc., etc. So in our case, this person is a very valuable customer because they've been with the company for 10 years. So then you take 52, So the first item, and you multiply by the second item, and then you multiply by the third item. So 52 times 122 times 10 years. So the lifetime value, so the average amount that that customer has spent with the store in the entire time that they have been a customer is $63,440. As you buy your groceries, think about what is your average spending per week, per month, per year. How many years have you been shopping at that store? So how much money do you spend in that amount of time? More than you think initially, usually anyway. Customer B visits a whole lot more, but their average ticket is only $62. They've been a customer for 5 years. So their CLV is $34,720. Once again, that's 112 times 62 times 5 in order to get that amount. So if you're looking at this over the course of the customer's lifetime, of course, customer A is the most valuable customer. But there's another way to be able to look at it, and that is the annual customer value. So that would be taking the total amount spent and dividing it by the years that they've been a customer. So on average, customer A spends $6,300 at this store, and customer B spends $6,900 at this store. So they're very close in their annual value versus their lifetime value. Going back to this sheet, you would want to take a look at the characteristics that make up this segment of customers. My guess is they may live nearby, they may be of the same age range, they may have similar family characteristics, but you want to be able to capitalize on what this group has in common. Does it have the same thing in common with this group? What are the differences? And you start looking at that. When we move forward in the term and we get into customer segmentation, we'll look more deeply into this as a topic. But it's just something for you to think about in general right now. So next I have a little 10-question quiz for you to complete. It was created by some of your classmates, as a matter of fact. And it'll give you a chance to practice determining CLV and annual customer value. Have a great day.